Hi, I'm Paul from the Studio Rats, and today I'm joined again by...
Lee. Hi.
Everyone loves a Lee video. They do, everyone loves a video that you're in. So, it's been a few weeks, and you came over and you demonstrated how you use the IR-2,
Yep.
and you've expanded on that.
A little bit, yeah.
So this is now your live rig.
It is. That's it. Yep.
So
that's the entire pedal board.
So you've got the IR-2 with
Yep.
the... Well, why don't you explain to everyone how you got all this rigged up? Because I think it's pretty genius.
Yeah, sure. So the Boss IR-2 is providing the amp and the cab sound. And I've got a Line 6 HX1, which is their fairly new single effect at a time pedal. But the genius thing about the way these two pedals can be rigged together is that you can rig up them in 4-cable method.
Right.
Because the Boss IR-2 has got an effects loop, you can essentially put effects from the HX1 before the IR-2 and also after the IR-2 as well.
But only...
One at a time.
But one at a time. So you can either go before or you can either go after.
Correct, yeah.
So you're using all your drive tones from the IR-2?
Yeah, but I've got a couple of different flavours of drive.
This is awesome. Okay, so why don't you start us off with your clean tone?
Yep. So it's on the clean tone now.
Yeah.
So this is the main sound that I would use at a gig for a majority of.
Got a little bit of drive on it. That's how I like it.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I would run it. Is that normally how the sound is, or is it?
Yeah, the Sir maybe has got a little bit more output
Right,
than this,
right.
but only because it's got a humbucker in the bridge rather than a single. But
But you like a little bit of drive with your clean tone.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it helps push it to the back of the room, doesn't it?
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more.
But so the way I've got the HX1 rigged up with this is that if I'm playing away and I just need a little bit more juice, I've put a compressor on one of my... So this is all rigged up in preset mode at the moment. So I've built some presets in the HX1 that I use live.
We should say as well, just before we go any further, that there's a bit of flickering going on the HX1 screen. That's not happening, that's just the camera. Because everyone always comments on that. It's just the camera refresh rate or whatever, so don't just ignore that. But go on, sorry mate.
So I've got a compressor, and it's, from what I can gather in the manual, it's based on the 1176.
Oh, right.
Which is the same one in the UA Max pedal,
Yeah.
I understand it. So they called it the LA compressor.
Yeah.
And that's rigged up in the front of the IR-2. So I can switch to that.
See, that's really interesting. So you're almost using that as a way of pushing into the front of the amp. So you're using it as yes, it's compressing as well, but using it as a bit of a drive pedal to push into the front of the amp. And that's what's great about the R2, because it can handle that.
Absolutely.
So it's got so much headroom going into it. It isn't like a lot of digital processors where you stick something, you boost the level going into the front and it just crunches up. That's really interesting. Okay.
So those are the main sort of stray sounds that I use for maybe 50-60% of a gig.
Right.
I perhaps should just explain actually that one of these presets I've just called off. So it's just set to an EQ which is flat, which is doing nothing, so that I know that the signal is just passing through there and the HX1 is not doing anything.
Right.
So when that's set to off, all you're hearing is the IR-2.
When you go out live with your clean tone, you don't use any reverb and delays.
No.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, that's how I play. Yeah. So what you can do now is, if you want to do a fairly cleanish solo.
Yeah.
So I've got another patch in the HX1, which is just a mono simple delay. And it's got a volume boost built into it as well. So the great thing about the HX1 is on the delay sounds, you can actually build in a up to like a 6 or 7 dB boost. So it's boosting about 4 dB, I think.
Great. So that's still going into the front
That's behind now.
That's behind now.
Yeah.
It's great, isn't it?
So you've got the delay and the volume boost happening after the HX1. Right, so now the other side of the IR-2 is the drive sounds.
Because you've got two presets as such built into the IR-2 with the push of the pedal, yeah?
Yeah.
Right.
So I should perhaps just mention that the sound I'm using on the green channel, which is kind of my clean channel, is X Crunch.
Right.
I think they just call it Crunch in here, but
Yeah.
I think it's the X Crunch.
Yeah, it is the X Crunch. Yeah.
And I'm using my IR. So the good thing about this is you can put your own IRs in it.
Can you tell everyone, because everyone always asks what your IR is, and I always forget. So tell them exactly what the IR is, so they can go and buy it if they want to go and buy it.
Yeah, so the IR that I use for everything, for playing live, for recording in my studio, absolutely everything, is an Own Hammer 4x12 with vintage 30s in it, with a SM57 and a Royer 121 microphone.
There you go. Okay.
Right, so drive, which is in the modded setting on the IR-2.
The X mod.
The X mod.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. And the reason that sounds so good is because of that IR.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds great anyway, but as soon as, when you came over last time, Lee came over last time, and he demonstrated it with the IR that he put in, and it was just like, it was a massive improvement, I think.
And if you want a bit more juice out of that, of course, you can go and turn the compressor on in the HX1. Nice and noisy.
Well, we're using single coils as well, so so that's awesome. So, wow, you would use that much gain in
certain situations,
right? Yeah,
Some of the bands I play in, we do some pretty heavy stuff.
But Lee normally uses humbuckers in the bridge, so yeah.
And then lead sound, which is the lead sound that I would use for just about every song that I play lead on. Which I should say is literally just the IR-2 with the delay and the boost happening after it. There's nothing going into the front end of the IR-2 for this.
Right. Massive. So explain what's going on with the DI box and why you're using the DI box.
Yeah, so from the output of the IR-2, it goes direct to the input of the DI box. Oh, my voice is going. So the output of the IR-2 is going to the input of the DI box.
Mono?
Yeah, mono. I play everything in mono when I play live.
Right.
So that's making sure that when you're playing on big stages, when your mixing desk is half a mile from the stage, it can be connected via an XLR, which produces obviously a clean, balanced signal to the desk. But I just use it for everything. So even when we're playing small venues, small pubs and clubs and things, in the band, I just know that I'm getting an XLR signal to the desk, and it's going to be nice and clean, no crosstalk from other cables. A lot of these pubs, some of the electrics in these pubs are shocking.
British music pub venue, unbelievable. So you wouldn't use any of the stereo functions?
I wouldn't. No,
okay.
No. I'm mostly a mono player.
Yeah.
But you can, there's an ambience reverb in the IR-2. So if you wanted a bit of reverb, and a lot of players enjoy a bit of reverb, especially when they're using in-ears, to give it a bit more space. You can add that in. It's no problem. The other things that I like about the HX1.
Yeah.
So. Glasses on.
Old man glasses going.
So I've got a couple of other sounds which might be of interest. So,
Yeah.
So for a couple of songs in one of the bands that I play in, I need an acoustic guitar sound. And rather than taking an actual acoustic guitar,
Right.
you turn the IR-2 off just by
Yeah.
holding the main pedal. I've got an acoustic sound in the HX1. Well, the thing about it is it's good enough for live.
Yeah.
It's good enough for a live stage.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you were to take an acoustic guitar and plug it in with a jack socket, that's what it would sound like over the PA.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Most piezo pickups.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. And the other sound that I use for one of the other bands that I play in is that I need drop tuning. So I need things to be in D rather than the guitar being in standard E.
Right. This is Galahad, your other band, yeah?
Yeah, and another band I'm playing called Cosmograph,
Right, okay.
which use quite a lot of their music is in drop
If you're into prog stuff, Lee's big in the old prog world.
available for sessions and gigs. So I've got this setting called Drop D.
Yeah.
So if we turn the IR2 back on, so I'll just compare it to, so this is off. And then we
That's
put
a
it in,
massive tone.
put it in Drop D.
That's great, isn't it? I mean,
And try the tracking on
Yeah,
it. See
yeah,
if,
let's
you
have a
can feel anything.
I've got to play your cool riff there. Amazing.
Pretty good, isn't it?
That's amazing.
And just a couple of other things to say. So calling it the HX1, you know, with a view to it only having one effect at a time is a little bit misleading, because obviously I've showed you that you can have a delay and a boost, because you can boost the volume. So there's two. I mean, if you were working in the analog world, you need two pedals for that. You need a delay pedal and you need a clean boost as well. But the other thing that it's got in it is, right at the very start of the chain, you have got a noise gate.
And is it better than the noise gate that's built into the R2? Or you just that's just what you use?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we're on a fairly... That's off. That's on.
Awesome.
And you've got the different ways in which you can change the threshold and the decay, etc. You've also got this thing that it's a bit proprietary to line 6, I think, where it's an input setting.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got it set for auto at the moment, but you've got different ways in which you can...
It's an impedance.
Yeah,
it's
that's
impedance
it.
thing.
Impedance
Yeah.
setting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. As you turn it down, it kind of makes it a bit more spongy. Just leave it on auto.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there we go. And there's a few other bits and pieces in here as well. Tons of effects. You know, you know, if you were looking for any kind of drive effect or modulation, delay, reverb, and if you're not using it in 4-cable method, you can obviously run it in stereo.
Yeah.
So, you know.
That's great, isn't it? So you can literally just use those two pedals, and Lee's, you know, you just come back from a sort of mini tour in Europe, and as opposed to sort of taking, you know, especially at the moment, the UK musicians going over to Europe with all of the sort of custom stuff that we have to deal with. Yeah, you can literally just stick that in your backpack and you're done. Yeah,
there was limited room on the bus. There was an instruction that went around to all the band members: just take as least gear as possible.
How do you do that in a prog band?
Well, you know, it's
your
not
drummer's obviously not like James Ivey here.
Well, he did take quite a lot of stuff, but you know, I left several of my capes at home. You know. There wasn't room for them all.
Amazing. I think that's an awesome setup. Like Lee came over and we just did a video on the Quad Cortex. And yes, okay, this does a lot more. But that just sounds great.
Yeah, I'm a great believer in just buying what you need.
Yeah.
You know, and I've had multi-effects in the past, and you know, the Tonex pedal. I wasn't particularly into profiling my own sounds, but I've had a Tonex in the past, and I thought I should be making more of this Tonex pedal. So I actually got into actually capturing a little bit and making some of my own. Found it a little bit of a frustrating process. It's quite long-winded, and I thought, well, what am I actually getting out of this? You know, you know, I spend more time fiddling with gear and profiling stuff rather than actually practicing or writing or creating music. So I thought, no, I need to move away from this and get almost back to basics, really, and just, you know, buy the stuff that I need, get the stuff that I need. What do I need? A drive sound, a clean sound, delay, maybe an overdrive. You know, noise gate would be nice, and then a few other bits to do drop tuning and acoustic. That'd be great. Yeah. And this setup does it all.
Awesome. So there you go. The perfect mini setup.
Yeah.
Really hope you guys got something out of this video. If you did get something out of it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Click on the bell button, and you'll be notified of any future video that comes out from the Studio Rats. I'm Paul.
I'm Lee.
And we'll see you next time.